Hello, I am Jaime Elizondo from Real World Ranching, where our goal is to help you achieve maximum productivity while improving your land the fastest. Today, I want to talk about epigenetics. Is it a buzzword or a reality that we can use to our advantage? Surely you have heard this word and how what happened to our parents or grandparents has an impact on our lives and behavior. It turns out that it has to do with the memory of events or the environment as it's in each one of our cells. That is why when an organ is transplanted to someone, the recipient begins to have cravings and behaviors that were different from those they had before and resemble those of the organ donor. So it is a very interesting subject. And also in animal genetics, there are people who are trying to predict the genetic potential of an animal from a very young age. I am not going to talk about that because I consider that it is still in its infancy and the results or predictions are not reliable. And this is so because there are billions of combinations of the male gamete and the female gamete. And when they form an embryo, those possibilities are multiplied. So what can we do? Well, first, we must know what epigenetics is. Epigenetics is the turning on or off the expression of a gene due to stimuli from the environment. This can be stress, drugs or medicines, nutrition, temperatures, relative humidity, etc. These changes in the expression or not of certain genes do not affect the gene chain, but they can be inherited and explain the adaptability of animals to changes in the environment. What can we do with this information? Well, we can select the best animals according to what they are showing us and what we observe. In the Adapted Genetics and Selection Guidelines course, we guide the student to start to see their cattle with new eyes, looking first and foremost for adaptation to the environment and above all, for nutritional adaptation. And what is nutritional adaptation? It is the ability of an animal to maintain a good body condition under a more demanding and lower quality grazing. It's essential for maximum productivity per acre and is also affected by the individual appetite. Both of these characteristics are highly heritable. In hot climates, we can see how some cows and breeds cannot cope with the heat generated in the rumen when digesting high-fiber grasses, plus the humid heat of the environment. So those cows are in the water all day, losing weight and being unproductive. We need cattle with climate adaptation and nutritional adaptation. Did you know that it is also inherited? Yes, due to the changes given by epigenetics, which means above the genes, certain breeds have adapted to a lower quality diet and can somehow continue consuming it without losing body condition, while other animals without that adaptation lose weight and productivity. Do you remember my motto? Fat cows, fat cows, fat cows. Why this motto? Because fat is necessary for the immune system to function and for the production of estrogen, which is necessary for the female to get pregnant. Fat in our livestock is also needed to survive hard times or sickness. And what else can we learn from epigenetics? It has been shown that the grandchildren of people affected by the Irish famine long ago will also suffer from famine symptoms, proving that difficult times in nutrition have an impact on the progeny. This makes my fat cow motto even more important, right? It has been determined that epigenetic changes are inherited up to 3 generations, and if selection continues with correct selection guidelines, it can continue for many generations. And this is the explanation of how it is that with the adapted genetics course and selection guidelines, we obtain very superior animals for a given environment. Conclusion and review. Number 1, epigenetics means turning on or off the expression of a gene, and it is determined by the environment. Stress, certain drugs or medicines, chemicals, temperature, and relative humidity. And these changes start in the womb after pregnancy. 2, we can detect these changes by applying the selection guides of the adapted genetics program and selection guidelines. 3, once the animals that have been able to express themselves in our environment at a minimum cost have been identified, we can propagate these characteristics in our herd. 4, if we continue applying the correct selection guidelines, we can fix these characteristics or expressions of genes in subsequent generations in the future. 5, this is how a composite or synthetic breed should be created, not by a certain percentage of 2 or more breeds, but by observing and evaluating epigenetic changes caused by stimuli from outside the genes, in other words, the environment. Hence, a composite obtained by correct selection on a particular farm will be much better in productivity than bringing cattle from another place. Well, I hope you like this podcast and you can put it into practice. Thank you, and until next time, be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or YouTube, or join us for the weekly email at www.rwranching.com/join. Have a great day.